Hi there, it's Sandra, and you are listening to the podcast A Duchess Like Us. Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of A Duchess Like Us, a podcast that reports positively and fairly on Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Before we start today, I'd like to thank everyone for all their lovely comments and their support on Twitter and YouTube for the first 3 episodes of A Duchess Like Us podcast. It has been absolutely awesome, and I want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the YouTube channel. I just can't believe how the channel has grown so much in a few days, and it has been an absolutely fantastic, exciting last few days. So thank you to everybody who have subscribed to the channel. So today I am so pleased to welcome my guests to this episode of the podcast. So guests, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, it's Nelly, your girl from over the wall. You can follow me at Harklestan, and yes, massive fan of the Duchess of Sussex.
And hi, I'm Gayle, back again, known as Breakthrough Diva online. I am such an ardent and passionate fan of both Meghan and Harry, but especially Meghan because she's got a special place for me. But I'm really excited to be back again.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies, for coming back. So let's start with this episode and this week. Well, this week's been quite a busy one. It's been the first week of September, and most people are back at work after their annual summer holidays. The kids have gone back to school, and Britain has gone back to tearing itself apart over Brexit. Even the royals are slowly going back to restarting their royal engagements. So in this episode of the podcast, we're going to cover just 3 of the things that came up last week. The first thing is Meghan at the US Open 2019 Women's Tennis Final. The second thing is the Southern African Tour, which is going to talk about the travel plans and engagements that have been announced so far. And then finally, we're going to talk about SmartWorks and the launch of the special capsule. But before we start our topics today, I want to address a question that was raised on the last Sussex Squad podcast. I think it was episode 40, I'm not 100% sure, but it was one last week. And basically, somebody asked Tina if they could ask me if we Brits understood how racially charged the word uppity was to black people in the US, and did it mean the same thing in the UK? So let's talk briefly about that word and what it means to black Brits. So who would like to go first?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm fully aware of what uppity means. As a black girl growing up, I was born here. I was born here in the 60s, so race relations were not great during my upbringing. So even though it's not a word that was very much in our vocabulary as such, it very much implied, being above your station. We all know Brits are very, very undercover, very covert in their racism, or they used to it anyway. So it was something that was more implied. However, our understanding of the black experience as I got older came very much from the States, like roots, because it's just not taught here in the UK. History is something that you seek out. It's not something that's taught. And from our understanding then, as we started to become more and more educated from overseas, we realised that uppity was very much a word we wanted to be associated with. So to hear someone like Eamon Holmes, who a lot of generation grew up hear someone like him, who was always portrayed as quite a jovial, well-type presenter, man of the people, use that word uppity in relation to Meghan, that it's abhorrent. It's abhorrent because that for me really crystallized just how far we've fallen. you know, and just how blatant this whole racism has become, you know, how entitled people now feel that they are, that they would use such a word so openly and against somebody, you know, so high profile. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I like you, Sandra. I mean, sorry, Gail. The word uppity, you know, I grew up in Jamaica, and a lot of the media that was consumed, that was consumed there was American. So I always knew it as a pejorative used towards, you know, black people, of course, mainly black American people by white Americans, as a you know, it's used as a, you know, a black person who thinks they are, you know, who thinks they are above their station, and of course, so, you know, we know that white conservative commentators in the States have used that very same word, use it in, you know, with regards to the Obamas, for example. And moving to the UK, I've never heard the word I've never heard the word being used against anyone in that respect.
I think I know what the word means, because we have so much US TV over here, so we know exactly what it means, but it's not a word that is actually used that much in the UK. I've hardly ever heard it being used. But as Nelly has said, the fact that they used it against an American, a black, or someone they perceive to be a black American, the two of them, Eamon Holmes and what's her name, Grace, whatever her name is, they both knew exactly what they were doing. Thank you. They both knew exactly what they were doing. And they may not have been targeting a British audience. They may have been targeting the US, but they knew exactly what they were doing. And they're both disgusting as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, when you are dog whistling, and that's what it was, when you were dog whistling, you have to take responsibility for your actions. And I don't know what they're playing at, but they need to stop, because it's not right. It really isn't right.
It's left a really, I mean, sour isn't even a strong enough adjective. It's so distasteful for me on so many levels, that people that are in our homes via our TV screens on an almost daily basis. You know, Eamon was a breakfast TV presenter, mid-morning TV. Him and his wife do a primetime TV show in the evening. You know, he's regularly on our TV, you know, and has been for many, many years. And to hear somebody like him pick up this right-wing mantle, to see that, it's just like, oh my goodness, where do we go? How much further can we fall from here?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes. It's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
Very.
In the space of what I say, since the Brexit vote, I think that
3 years.
Racists have come out and they feel emboldened to say what they're saying. And it's really sad, because we have this right-wing media who basically control the press in the UK. And nobody really is standing up and saying what you're saying is wrong. Nobody's saying it. That's what's really scary. Nobody's saying it. And because the UK blacks do not have a press to go to, it appears that we are doing nothing. And that's not the case. People are fighting back. But because we have no media to go to, apart from social media, that is why it appears that we are doing nothing. And I think that's what's upsetting the most. What do you think, ladies?
No, I totally agree. It just feels like we're sort of backed in a corner, and I feel we're backed in a corner, and we're being gaslit. All of this is in our heads, that there is no racism, But like I said in the previous podcast, British people, well, the Brits are comfortable about talking about race, and they don't want to. They they have a very lazy way of thinking what racism is. I think a lot of them believe that racism is calling someone nasty words, calling people racial slurs. Not even that. I remember, I mean, I live in Scotland, for example. People refer, people I used to with refer to the corner shop as the pea shop, if you know what I mean.
Oh God, really?
And I was like,
Mm.
exactly.
Mm.
So, and I'm
Oh,
like, you
wow.
can't say that.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just
Wow.
You can't say that. I'm like, you guys know that it's a slur, and it's like, well, it's short for Pakistani. I'm like, no, it's not.
no, it's
You
not.
not know that it's a slur. And the lady at the corner shop is from fucking India. You idiots. It's, you know what I
Well,
mean?
and even that. I mean, we don't have the time, unfortunately, on this podcast to really go into and delve into some of the depths of the racism here in the UK and how uneducated as a population we are about racism. We've been, as Black people, we came here en masse as part of the Windrush generation, but we were here before then, long before then. We're not. Yeah, exactly. We're not new to the UK, even though they would have everyone else believe that we are, and they'd even have us believe that we are by denying us so many places in history. But we're not new to the UK, and had there been conversation and a genuine desire to understand, we wouldn't be here now. But we are, and now it's imploding. And unfortunately, the arrival of Meghan, as we talked about in our last podcast, coincided with Brexit. And we have this explosive situation on our hands that's making people feel like, say what I want, you lot shouldn't be here anyway. And racism towards people of colour, that's overt. But there's racism towards, anyone that's not Indigenous. But you take all the immigrants out of the UK, what have you got left? What are you left with? Even I know we're not going to talk about it in this particular one, but just quickly, even if Meghan and Harry weren't doing what they are doing for the royal family and the Commonwealth, we'd be left with, gosh, I have to say names, William and Kate. Right? We would be left with them. What are they doing? Where's their contribution?
We could talk about that after the podcast.
Right. That's a whole series. That's not even an episode. That's a whole series in itself.
But no, I think with regard sorry to just let's bring it back to uppity. It's just the people know exactly what they're doing by using that word against a biracial Black woman who's from America, knowing full damn well, that what that term entails. And if you look up the dictionary definition of what uppity is, it refers to, it's an informal adjective used to someone who is pompous and arrogant. In what fucking way is Meghan arrogant? You know who's pompous and arrogant?
Eamon Holmes.
Well, apart from him, but I'm talking about in the royal family.
Oh.
I do not want to, mention his name either. The Queen's favorite.
Yeah.
The Queen's favorite
son.
He is the textbook definition of what uppity is. He's not the flipping heir, but he wants to be treated, wants his family to be treated like royalty. Nah. And you're not going to get any respect out of anyone. So that is, for me, that is, if we're talking about what uppity is in that respect, he is exactly that. Meghan has not demonstrated anything that says that she's arrogant and pompous.
Nothing.
Unless you believe every word that comes out of Piers Morgan's mouth or Lizzie Cundy's mouth, then yeah, be my guest. You're an idiot on top. If you believe anything
Nelly,
what those clout chasers
Oh,
say.
Nelly.
that was classic. That was classic.
really
Well
was.
done. Oh my
Beautiful.
gosh.
Beautiful.
Okay, I think that we should
No,
maybe
that's-
end that topic
yeah.
there, because I think we could spend the whole episode on it, and I think we don't want to talk about that. We want to be more positive and talk about Meghan and her work.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I think I
Yeah.
hope that's answered the question for everyone in the US and for the Sussex podcast. So we're going to move on now. Okay, so let's go to topic number 1. So it is Meghan at the US Open, the women's final. Now, I've got to say, before we even start, right, I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. My girl didn't win,
Yeah.
but she is still
Yeah.
the greatest of all time. So
Yes.
I just,
Yeah,
I
and
live with
let's
that.
not take from let's not take away anything from the zygote that won. She's literally
dear.
what she was literally a zygote.
Oh,
Serena won
my
her first slam. You know.
Oh,
No,
God.
shout out to Bianca Andreescu. She does young Serena.
Of a young Serena, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
she powerful man. She bad. You know,
She was.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, but it's true.
Yeah.
I've got
Anyway, I don't want to talk
big
about her.
hopes for her. I can see. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about her.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about her.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so anyway, so apparently Meghan made a last-minute decision by the UK press to go to New York City to watch her good friend Serena Williams in the US Open final. Now, I don't know if it was a last-minute decision. This could have been planned from time, because they are good friends, and they could have decided amongst themselves that if she got to the final, she was going to go.
Yeah.
Right? That could have been decided ages ago, but the UK press
from Wimbledon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
So the UK press has decided that it was a last-minute decision. Well, anyway. So apparently Meghan
cares?
Apparently Meghan took a commercial flight on Friday morning, but as usual, the UK press put out a call to find out what flight she went on and did anybody see her on the flight. Don't these people ever learn?
No. It's
Ridiculous.
the answer to that.
Yes. Anyway, I'm going to move on and then we'll talk about it in a second. Anyway, Meghan was seen at the final in the players' box along with Serena's family, her coaching staff, and Anna Wintour of US Vogue. Meghan looked happy, refreshed, and relaxed.
Wicked.
Yep. There was a point in the match where Meghan's face was flashed up on the big screen and the crowd went wild. Yep. Apparently, the dress that she wore to the match has just sold out as a result.
It sold out during the match. The match isn't even done yet.
Say no more. But guess what? The UK press's reaction to her attending the match was, all they could muster was, she's a jinx. And of course, it was all negative.
Yep.
Lady, what's your opinion on this? I'm going to sit back now and enjoy this bit.
Okay, I'll go first.
Come true, Nelly. Come true.
So of course I didn't read that story because it was in the Daily Heil. So
exactly.
I just saw the headline and I could see that there were a couple of tweets that were linked to this headline. So I'm like, oh, so you lazy bastards just went on the US Open hashtag and looked at all the negative things, anything that was regarding Meghan being a jinx, you know. unfortunately for Meghan, this is the third time Meghan has seen Serena in a final. Of course, you know, she was there at last year's Wimbledon, this year's Wimbledon, and of course this US Open, and she has indeed lost. But Meghan has seen Serena play heaps of other times prior to her being a Duchess, and she did, and Serena won, or Serena, you know, won her matches and things. So, in what way is she a jinx? You know, it's just all so negative. But of course, they're going to play that angle because Meghan is, you know, in their sick little demented minds, Meghan is bad. Everything about her is bad. She's you know, nothing is right about her, to the point that the greatest tennis player of all time cannot win finals, cannot win her a Grand Slam. Nah, fuck these people, man. It's boring. They bore me. I'm bored. As
as Kane said.
To quote Kane, I am bored of the racism of the UK press. So,
Well,
I'm sick of it, man. And it's just right. You know, it's not down to Meghan. You know, she's not the one in the game. It's down to Serena and Serena's opponent, and Serena played, you know, not her and her opponent, you know, sort of best and won, you know. So,
absolutely.
So yeah, stop calling it a jinx. To be absolutely fair, I said the same thing about Drake. Because I hate it.
But yeah, because remember that period in life. But you know, my dad, God rest his soul, used to have a great attitude to all this. You know, my dad was a very Jamaican man, and he used to say, when you know, he used to talk, shut your ears. And
yes,
that's exactly the approach that I'm taking to this jinx business, because Meghan was at Serena's pre-final match at Wimbledon. Serena won. Meghan wasn't at the US Open last year. Nope. Serena lost. Mm-hmm. So you know, this really is a whole bag of nonsense just for something to print. It's clickbait. Yeah, you know. Clickbait. And I am very supportive and pro Sussex squad, Tina and Michelle, when they say, let's stop clicking on the foolishness. Right. As soon as I saw that headline pop up on Twitter, someone had taken a shot, and I thought, I don't even want to know what that's. I already know what that's going to say. I don't need to click on it. I don't need to go and investigate nothing, because it's exactly what it is. It's foolishness, you know. And anyone that's even going to believe that, well, oh dear. Anyhow,
yeah. Next. I mean, the point. I mean, even Kevin Peterson, was like, you know, this is the cricketer. He got involved. He was like, this is absolute rubbish, you know. I'm like, that's all nice and fine and good, my son, but you might tell your friend Piers Morgan to back the fuck up.
Yeah, because him and Piers are real buddy. So yeah, and I mean,
I don't know if they're still. I don't know if they're still buddy. You know, because
did they not play golf together last week? Apparently, but you know, okay, well. Apparently. But that thread was very, very interesting, and the majority of people were saying, "Well, tell your friend." You know, it's all well and good you saying this, but what about your friend? You know, and we do have a responsibility, I think, to educate people. Almost, I've got a member of my family who is very dismissive of Meghan, I'd say she believes 99% of what she reads in the Daily Hail. And
sorry. First of all, you're. Why does she read that? Black people should not read the Daily Hail.
Well, she's not black. That's the point I was just about to come to. Right. Now, my family's very mixed up. Okay. Yeah, and so she does read it. She does believe it. And every time we meet, we end up having a discussion where I have to say, for the preservation of our relationship, because I love her so much, we cannot discuss this subject, because it just gets to a point where we have such opposing views, and I get so het up about it because obviously I'm in it, that we can't agree. So we have to agree not to even talk about it, because there are people that believe that foolishness. Something like, there's a headline saying Meghan's a jinx. There are people around thinking, black people and witchcraft. Knows the associations they make from that kind of foolishness.
Well, there are people out there who still think that black people have tails and Jews have horns. So
yeah,
that's true.
It's foolish.
Yeah. So
yeah. But having said that, it was lovely to see our girl looking great.
Yeah,
yes, she looked fantastic.
My take on this is
so relaxed and so unbothered and just sorry.
Yeah, go. My take on this is the press again, and the fact that they put out this call to say, "Did you see her on the flight?" and all that nonsense, but they couldn't find her. They could not find her at all. They can't find her in the hotels in Manhattan because they're assuming she's in Manhattan, and they think that she flew into New York. They think she flew into New York. She could have flown into any city or any airport around there, and they wouldn't have known. And she could be staying, I don't know, she could be staying in, I'm not familiar in the US, so I'm going to say she could be staying in Philadelphia. They don't know where she is.
Mm-hmm.
All they know is that she's in the US. And I'm actually getting really scared. I'm really worried about these bounties that be put out about her when she goes into the US. I think that it's getting, I think something needs to be done because they should not be allowed to do that. Now, if Kate or William, I don't know these people really, but if they went to the US and the press put out a call like that to people, there'd be uproar. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Sandra. Remember, this is now the third time in recent history they have done this. They wanted to know where they stayed. Did anyone see them in Ibiza? We still have no proof that they went to Ibiza, right? Despite the press constantly telling us about this private jet travel they took to Ibiza. Okay, but they've called for information for that. There was also the call for information about the nanny, which we discussed on our last podcast together. And now there's this call for information about whether or not she travelled and where she travelled, how she travelled. It is beyond disgusting. This is a high-profile person. Any high-profile person asking for information from puts them in jeopardy, puts the public in jeopardy even. There are some very people out there in the world, as we know. We don't have to go back too far to see, that Harry himself has been threatened by some people. Someone's languishing in jail right now for their sickness. So to do that, and to do it specifically for it shows exactly what their intentions are. And I'm going to say it out and just put there. They want her dead, right? They want her dead, and that will be the next headline. Okay, which they'll make money on and they'll sensationalize. And then the next thing is, within a month, they'll immortalize her as a saint. The same thing they did with Diana. When Diana was alive, and, they absolutely slated her, and we didn't even have social media then. Can you imagine if we had social media? Right. So the poor woman died, and suddenly she becomes a saint. She's now held up by those same people as a virtue and the standard that Meghan can never quite attain.
Yes.
It's vile. It's disgusting. It's evil at its lowest. It's just it incensed so much. And that's why I can't speak to people about, apart from other Sussex Squad members, because I don't think anybody really understands and realizes just how damaging this is. This is not a game. This is life. This is someone's mother. Sorry, I just find it very upsetting.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I'll tell you what, we're getting really irate about this. Maybe we should move on to the next topic.
Can I also just say, So yeah, I'm sorry. And
Oh.
I'm really sorry that, Gail. But also the Daily Telegraph can go away as well. Who they can piss off. They literally changed they changed their front page from, it was going to be a picture of what's her face from Strictly Come Dancing has come back, and the original front page had you know a couple one of the celebs on it, and they changed it to a picture of Meghan. The Daily Telegraph.
Oh, you
Just
see why?
clout chasers, man. Right? They write op-eds and all sorts saying how much but yet they still put her face on their front pages. What is that?
Mm,
It just sums them up. They're
Anyways,
just
yeah,
lower than low. They're just
yeah,
really, they're just bottom feeders. What else can we say, really? Until we, as I keep going back to this point, until we have our own press, we have our own way we can get out positive stories, and we are beginning, but it's not quite
mm,
there yet. Until we can get a bigger platform out there, I think it's going to continue, because they're not going to change. They have an agenda, and they're not going to
yeah,
change, and that's what's really sad.
it
yep,
is really sad. I mean, we have The Voice, which is our only real voice, if you like, in the media, the Voice newspaper. But there's so many things going on within the Black community that the treatment of Meghan, even though it is a big, subject like racism, is seen as being very minor in comparison to gun crime, knife crime, youth crime, um,
Mm,
deprivation. It's so far down the line that even with a platform, we still don't have a voice.
yeah.
Mm.
But
yeah,
as we need to change this. We need to do
Yes.
something about it. And I mean, by starting out on social media and creating podcasts and having like Meganpedia and all that sort of stuff, um, it's a start. And people, if more people see it, more people can start creating their own platforms, and then we could unify and actually have a more positive narrative out there. But while we have this right wing media we have in the UK, it's not going to change. It really isn't. And that's, as I keep saying, that's what's really sad. But anyway, let's stop talking about that, because it's
Mm.
too negative, and I want to be happy today. So the second point I'd like to talk about is the Southern Africa tour.
Mm.
On, I think it was Friday morning, Sussex Royal released some information about the tour. So the tour starts on Monday, the 23rd of September, and ends on
Mhm.
Wednesday, the 2nd of October. It's going to be a 10-day tour. Meghan and Harry will start the tour in Cape Town, South Africa, and then they're going to carry out a series of joint events. In total, they will spend 3 days together at the beginning of the tour, and then Harry will go off and do his own like little mini solo tour
Mhm.
in neighbouring countries in Southern Africa. While while Harry is traveling, Meghan will have engagements of her own that she will complete in South Africa. And they're going to
Mhm.
focus on women and girls empowerment, entrepreneurship, education, and women's health. Finally, Harry will come back to South Africa. And I think they're going to join back up again in Johannesburg. And they're going to carry out a series of
Johannesburg, yeah,
it's going to carry out a series of joint engagements on the 1st and 2nd of October, and then they're going to return to the UK on the 2nd of October that evening. So, from the information that's been given to us, what do you think of the initial details of the tour? And do you think the tour will be successful? And I'm not talking about the UK press, because they will obviously find a way to bash it. But I'm talking about in terms of the projects and the engagements and the things that they will be doing to support major projects down in South Africa. What do you feel about it?
Mm.
I think it's
Mm.
I think it's going to be very for Meghan, if it's about sort of female, all of those sort of issues that she cares about, and has been, that's what she has, her activism has been all about. I look forward to that, and I think it'll be very successful. But also know that she'll be very well received in South Africa as well. Um, I so I'm looking forward to that. You know, I'll be very interested to see the types of engagements that she'll be doing with regards to female empowerment and girls' education there. If it's very similar to the Morocco one that she did, then yeah, it should be it should be quite.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Meghan has been passionate about these issues long before Harry was on the scene. And this is what's so beautiful about them coming together as well. They read the mind, and you know, to see that they have a tour like this where he can go and touch base with some of his Project Halo Trust, which was one of his mums that he picked up. So go to Malawi and do all the conservation stuff that he's interested there as well, while he still maintain. And this is part of the beauty of them. They are still maintaining who they essentially are and bringing all of that into the Commonwealth. And I find myself increasingly more recently thinking about them as Commonwealth royalty as a British royalty, I must be honest, because their reach is so much more, it's much stronger, it's much more powerful. Let the other two have their glory in the UK. That's their people anyway. Harry and Meghan, to me, very much about the Commonwealth. And I think this Southern African tour is really going to cement that in a way that people will see it and realise that you can't stop them. You can't stop them. Let them do what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. They are living up to their titles of president and vice president of the Commonwealth.
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth
the Queen's
Trust.
Commonwealth Trust.
Thank you. Yes, and they are. You can see that their focus is going to be the Commonwealth and the Commonwealth youth. Because I read a statistic that I think it's like 70 or 80% of the Commonwealth are under the age of like 35. It's a huge amount, and the fact that they are focusing on the youth and on women and on entrepreneurship and setting up your own stuff, I think that's, for me, that is so, I don't know, inspiring, because they're encouraging the youth to try and fix things that the older generation have just messed up completely. That's my take on it. But I'm pleased that they're going. I'd love to find out more intimate details on what they're doing. I do know that they're going to be having a visit with Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and they're going to be looking
Desmond
at
Tutu, yes.
And they're going to be going to, is it Lunchbox, one of the projects that was promoted in the Global Baby Shower. So it'd be lovely to catch up on that and see how the Sussex Squad has helped that fund get more money and help them create more projects. I'd love to know what's going on there. What do you think about that?
Yeah. And this about them as a couple, they have, this isn't lip service, this isn't go do the smile and
cut ribbons,
cut ribbons and do that thing that they do, that arm show. I really understand. You don't understand one thing. Move, aside, let Harry and Meghan have the impact that they're having, because we're all Sussex Squad members, fully paid up, okay, got lifetime membership. You cannot mobilize a group of people like us, encourage, without even opening your mouth. They have inspired an army of people around the world that just not only want to support them, but want to also have an impact, do good. Look at that global Sussex baby shower. Look at what happened there. Look at what we did. It was just amazing. Even what we did with for Prince Harry's Father's Day. These are things that don't just come from admiring someone's hair and their pretty clothes. This is stuff that comes from really being able to see and understand someone someone's heart, where their intention genuinely sit, and then saying, you know what, I want to be a part of that. I can do that in my own little way. I can be my own force for change.
Yeah.
And that's the reach they have.
Amen.
And you can't dim that light.
Yeah, but they are expected to dim that light because they're not going to be king and queen.
They don't want to be
king and queen consort. And yes, they
consort.
don't want to be. And that is absolutely fine for me. But these two they've got the smarts, and they're very forward thinking in how they approach philanthropy. And for me, that is how you tackle, you could be being warm and generous and paying lip service to things is all fine and dandy for a time, but no, you gotta I think you have to definitely put in the work. So you gotta oversee what is what has to be done, and put the elbow grease and then see the results of it. I mean, we've seen that with regards to the cookbook and of course the SIP issue. This is a girl that has a strong work ethic, and her husband clearly has that as well. And I'm also very excited. I'm also wondering if they're going to be. They followed a number of South African accounts in September on their Instagram. I wonder how many of them are meeting up. I imagine a fair few. Yeah, I look forward to it, and of course, to see them interact with people. My only main concern with the South Africa is what is happening in South Africa at the moment.
Yes.
With this the stuff that's happening with Nigerian or people that are living there. It's very scary, and that it doesn't. I hope that it doesn't affect their tour. Might do, but I hope it doesn't.
Yeah. I think you've got a very good point there. What was going to add? Oh, yes. Again, in the press, I've got to say this. They're banging on again about a carbon footprint and how many people they were taking on their entourage. And it was really sort of boring. So basically, what Meghan and Carrie have said is they are going to offset their carbon footprint while they do their international travel from the UK to South Africa and back, but also domestically internally when they're in South Africa. So they will have, for their flights internally, they're going to offset their carbon footprint again. So, and that's going to be for them and all of their entourage. So if I hear them say anything about carbon footprints and whatever and flights, I'm going to scream. Honest, I swear to God.
It's become such a mute argument. We know, especially with the announcement of Travelist last week, we know Harry aren't going to the corner shop without making sure that their carbon footprint has been. So it's just, again, it's another foolishness.
Yeah, and the only royals that are going away on royal tours.
You'd forget that those other two will go pretty soon as well.
Well, no, I wasn't even talking about them. But Prince Charles and Camilla are going to. I think they're going to New Zealand later in the year. Yeah, I think they're going that side. Like I said, and that's obviously a long way to go. Prince Charles, the biggest climate change person out there, kick up a stink about that? I think the fuck not. Excuse my language.
Yeah. And I want to hear when the other two go off to, is it Pakistan and India? I think they're going on a tour later this year as well. I want to hear it. I want to hear them saying about carbon footprint about these two.
I can tell you now, I can tell you, this is what you're going to hear. Kate's hair was gorgeous. Oh, look at her outfits. How pretty and regal. The real English rose. That's what you're going to hear. Oh, Kate's missing her babies. Kate's a real mum. She's planted a seed in India and the garden will grow to next year. Cries. Oh, really? That, unfortunately, that's what we can expect.
Yeah.
There's nothing else there. There's nothing else in time.
To quote the late great Aretha Franklin, gowns, beautiful gowns.
Oh, Nelly, I love you.
Yeah, you're on fire today. Do you know that, Nelly? You're on absolute fire.
She really is, isn't she? She really is. It's amazing. I love it.
It's a lot of it's a lot of rage that I cannot share with my husband and 10-month-old
exactly.
daughter. So.
Exactly.
We love it here. We absolutely love it. So keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think with that, let's move on to the final topic, which is SmartWorks. Oh, SmartWorks. So on Wednesday, I know, on Wednesday, the 4th of September, SmartWorks announced that the SmartWorks capsule collection will be launched on Thursday, the 12th of September. The Duchess will attend the launch, and this event will mark the end of her maternity leave. The capsule collection comprises of a shirt, a skirt, a dress, a blazer, trousers,
a blazer, yes,
trousers, and a bag, and will be available for sale at the John Lewis Partnership, Marks and Spencer's, and Jigsaw. For each item bought by a customer, one will be donated to SmartWorks, thereby allowing women to support and empower each other and be part of each other's journey. The collection, however, will only be available for sale for only approximately 2 weeks. So, ladies, it's almost here. What do you think of it?
Sell out.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the collection only being available for sale for 2 weeks?
I am a little bit miffed that it's on for 2 weeks. I'm like, why not for a month? You know, I'm just a little bit shocked. But I think if it's on for 2 weeks and it gets sold out in 2 weeks, then maybe it will get extended for more weeks. I think they're being very good about it. I think that's why we've only got a fortnight of that collection, just to see how well it sells out. So, you know, it's a little bit, really just 2 weeks, but then just think, I kind of get why that is the case. So I know that I'll be heading to Marks and Spencer's, my nearest Marks and Spencer's, and a couple of things, because it's all for a good cause, and I really need some work trousers. Anywhere, I'm not going to work anytime soon.
I'm in the market for all of it, just because I am, because I love this initiative. Smart is pretty close to my heart anyway, but I love this initiative. I love the buy one concept of this. Also, like Nelly, I'm a bit miffed it's only 2 weeks. You know what? It can be repeated. The concept's there now, can be repeated. And just another additional plug for SmartWorks. November, they've got a massive event in association with Stella McCartney and some other designers in London at Somerset House. And the tickets are really reasonable. Yeah, the tickets are really reasonable. You know, you can go along there, support SmartWorks, find some great little bargains as well. So take part in the Q&A panel. So I think it's amazing that there's an old Chinese can hold up half the sky. And when you have women who are underprivileged and disadvantaged in a society, you tend to have all kinds of havoc and chaos reigning supreme. So the fact that with this, just getting women feeling good about themselves, being confident about getting them back into the workplace, it's not just about their confidence in terms of what they're wearing and their clothes, but even through coaching them, through their interview skills, through listening skills, leadership skills. All those things are important going back out into the market. And SmartWorks takes care of all of those. Yes, I'm beyond excited for this campaign that's coming. It's going to really just file even more. And I would say 2 weeks, I bet you it sells out before. Get online, midnight. Get online if you really want something. Yeah.
I'm just going to add that I'm glad it's coming on. I'm glad it's coming out. I'm really pleased. I understand the concept of it being available for 2 weeks, because you get it while the iron's hot and everyone's going to be keen to be in there. I just think the timing of the sale is wrong. I think the 2 weeks should have been around the end of the month, beginning of the month, because lots of people get paid like from like the 25th onwards. So 25th, 30th, 31st, the first of the month. And that's when people have got money. And that's when people, I've been paid. Yeah, let me go to John Lewis or let me go to Marks and Spencer's and get my little whatever item it is. So I understand the 2 weeks concept. I just think they've put it at the wrong time of the month. I think they should have put it to like maybe the 25th of the month and then have it from 2 weeks from there, because you cover the end of month payday and the beginning of month payday, and then more people can have access to it. That's just my little thing.
Good point.
Yeah, but apart from that, love it. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it.
So I'm looking forward to it as well. Can't wait.
Yep, I'll be taking my photos, kitted out my new outfit.
You have to post them online. Post them on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, has anyone got anything else to add before we wrap up for the episode?
No. Just looking forward to seeing our girl next week. Yeah, I can't believe she's like that. While others, are still on maternity leave. Even,
Was Meghan actually ever on maternity?
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
No, Meghan had a baby, but was she actually ever on maternity leave? She's amazing. The woman is a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse.
Yeah. That's so true. And I'm so in a way, I'm glad that she's back, so she's working. But also in the UK, we have a minimum of 6 months maternity leave if you choose to take it. And I think sometimes I wish that she would take the 6 months, because that's what we do over here in the UK. But I'm also pleased that she is not taking it, because she has so much to offer and so much to give. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation for me.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. Sorry, Nelly, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying that for me, I think if she could, she would have been back at work 3 months, a lot earlier than that.
I was going to say,
because look, she's American, and we know them Americans do not get anything called maternity leave.
No,
I think the maximum they get is like 12 weeks.
I was going to say that as an American, it's not in her DNA. 6 months holiday. That's like, what do you mean? So she hasn't grown up with the thing of 6 months maternity leave, because it's only recently, the last few years, certainly in my lifetime, that 12 weeks. So in the States. So to her, this is just you have a baby, you have a few weeks off, and then you get back to work. And to be honest, done. If you think about, the Vogue, with the Vogue, she was doing that while she was on, booking her early stages. She was early stage working on the cookbook. This to have a collection in September, she has been working on this for months, and so good luck to her, I say.
Good on her. Yeah,
absolutely.
And look, let's
I don't disagree at all.
Sorry.
I just think that it's people need to understand what maternity laws we have here and how much time women can have off if they choose to take it. So there was it's not like Kate. She took her 6 months and she made the most of it. But with Meghan, with Meghan, she's on maternity leave, but she's working during her maternity leave. And that's why I was like, maybe she shouldn't rush back so quickly, because she is working through her maternity leave.
Yeah, but is her type of work the same type of work that you and I do? No. Let's be real.
No, let's get real. It's true, but I'm glad she's back. I'm glad she's back. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to my amazing guests for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Don't forget to send in questions.
We did, as always.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to send in questions and or topics that you would like to have discussed on future episodes. If you'd like to be a panelist on the podcast, please reach out to me at hello@aduchesslikeus.com on email, or you can DM me at DuchessUs on Twitter. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, and please share this podcast with anyone else you think might be interested in listening to it. If you have the time, I'd be grateful if you could leave me a 5-star review on iTunes, as it helps this podcast get shown and be available to more people. I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you'll come back for more. So I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.